Men are not toxic. Men are the answer. Welcome to the ReMasculation podcast. Men are not toxic. Men are the answer. Welcome to the ReMasculation podcast. Yes, this show is dedicated to the exploration, celebration, and pursuit of healthy masculinity in the modern world. From emasculation to remasculation, this podcast stands in service to all of humanity by taking a stand for good men everywhere. I am your host, Michael Bates. My mission is the conscious evolution of men and masculinity across this planet in our lifetime, one man at a time. I am a coach, a men's work facilitator, a psychedelic integration guide, a writer, a speaker, a poet, very much like our guest today, a relationship consultant to couples of every persuasion, helping men, women, and couples and companies into the deepest embodiment of their highest potential. Welcome to my playground. I am so excited today to introduce my guest. He is a visionary, creator, and designer of the regenerative lifestyle brand, One Golden Thread. He is my friend Jeff Scult, and he inspires people to reveal the gold that resides inside of them, to claim their voice, and to live by that design. At the age of 51, Jeff made a legendary pivot from serial entrepreneur in the corporate world to become a first-time clothing designer and floetic, a spoken word artist. We're going to hear a little bit of that later. Led by his heart and passion to inspire aligned action in the world, Jeff wove together a sacred connection between self, community, and planet. This journey has led him to cultivating a global community and designing sacred earthwear to wear everywhere. Through conscious clothes, cultivated experiences, and poetic truth-speaking, Jeff's purpose is to inspire us to tap into our most raw, authentic self-expression to live life golden. Jeff is a thought leader in regenerative fashion, a 3x times profiled in Forbes magazine. We're going to talk about that today, and a frequent guest of the Conscious Community podcasts. Case in point, here he is, Jeff Scult. I am so stoked to be here with you, man. We've got a bit of a history, and I was just trying to think of where I first met you. And I can't remember if it was when I was still working behind the bar at House of Yes or where it was, but I was like, who is this dashingly handsome man with, these bright, just present eyes who is tying this golden thread around my wrist? What is going on here? Jeff, what was that all about? What was going on back then?
First of all, Michael, it's great to be here because we've been OGs in each other's world. You were rocking the threads early on in terms of the wrist. It's an honor to be on your podcast. This is a long time coming, and I'm thrilled to see what you're putting on the world. First time we met, I feel like was in some sort of a think tank. It was not in a bar setting. It was like in some sort of a conscious gathering, and there's this incredibly tall, handsome, dashing dude who held the room and created the energetic container where everyone felt like they were inspired to be their highest line action. That's basically what I've seen of you every moment that you've stepped into the space. So it's an honor to be here on your podcast and dive deep and
man, well, it's such a pleasure to be here with you. And hey, I mean, as much as we could just spend the next 40 minutes trading compliments back and forth, which I deeply appreciate, there's this thing that you said that you've shared with me that is sort of your mantra, your guiding line, very much an inspired phrase that came through for you. The gold inside us is the thread that unites us. And I love that so much. And I thought maybe that would be a really sweet place to just start and just tell us a little bit about that. Like the thing I love about you, Jeff, is that who you are is what I feel comes through in you in whatever it is you're doing, whether it's captaining this incredibly successful, wonderful clothing brand, which I am rocking today, by the way, or just, again, like the way you show up to the conversations that I've had with you, the way I've seen you show up in community. Tell us about this thread of gold.
I mean, let's cut to the quick and keep it real. I mean, we were all born golden, and then life tells us differently. We're taught to conform. We're taught no. We're taught to fit in, and oftentimes that light certainly was dimmed inside myself. I grew up empathetic to everyone's journey. which is not being in integrity truly if you're empathetic to others, because if you can't be empathetic to yourself first, what is that? Because then it becomes a parasitic codependent relationship. And that's the way I grew up. And that's the way I became as an adult. I developed a superpower of listening. And it served me incredibly well. But it also was not just a reflection, it was a deflection, because I shared nothing with myself. And so as I grew into adulthood, personally, there was a dis-ease inside me. And it was this notion about being unexpressed. And so, it manifests itself in us men. I mean, think about this. I mean, where do we feel it in our bodies? And for me, I felt it in my throat and my chest. And ironically enough, it actually started to manifest itself in disease. I had pneumonia 3 times in 7 years in my late 30s and early 40s. And it would always start in my throat chakra, and it would drop into my lungs, and then couldn't even walk because I couldn't breathe. 3 times in 7 years. And so I finally realized that we all have a golden voice to share. And the moment that I gave myself self-permission to pivot and begin to share what was inside myself, first to myself and then to others, all of a sudden everything began to move. All of a sudden there was an ease inside versus a dis-ease inside. And so this notion that we all have a golden gift to share, that we all are golden inside, and that's how we're connected is better together. And so I did a social experiment. After I did it started with a social experiment with myself of writing after a plant journey on a buffer day back in 2014. And I wrote this Life 2.0 manifesto to myself that was a story of me, all the knocking the cover off of my bullshit. All the ratings around love, fear, and pain, and ego, and all of it. Just seeing it through a new truth lens. And I buried it to myself, and finally I shared it with somebody after a year of sitting on it. A friend of mine in New York who was going through a really tough time. And I shared it with her because there was something that she said she was going through that was one of the stanzas in the manifesto. Yeah. I was scared shitless because, it was so raw, it was so personal. And I still was playing within that mind that I had this unworthiness to share. Who am I to share? I'm just Jeff. And I shared it with her. And as soon as I shared it with her, she looks at me with a blank stare. It all came back up again. That awful rubber band snap of unworthiness. And I was about to lean into her and apologize and say, I'm so sorry, that was too deep. And I took a deep breath to do that. And she said, thank you. Mm-hmm. I don't know what just happened, but there's like this glimmer, this light, and all of a sudden it doesn't feel like it's the train coming from the other end of the tunnel. It feels like light. And she went away, and she said to me 3 days later, I'm back. I'm feeling back, and there's something in there that was said that spoke to me. You should share this. And I immediately changed the subject. Fast forward 2 months, in 33 words, my life changed. 33 words. I shared it again in New York with a stranger at an art gallery opening for rock and roll legend Danny Crench, photographer, and everybody there is cool as hell. And this dude turns towards me and he says, "Hey," he asked me what I was up to in the world, and I said whatever I said, and I asked him, "What kind of beautiful magic are you up to in the world, my friend?" And he looks at me and he says, "Well, I've come from a dark place, but I'm actually ignited." By the way, that was my South African accent.
Very nice. Nice one, Brew.
I said, listen, that's crazy. I've never heard anybody use the word ignite in a sentence, at least at that point. And I said, I wrote this part story around intention, integration, and ignition. And it's just ironic. And he says, well, I want to hear it. And I had this cold sweat. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have to share this in this link. I said, well, not appropriate to share in this setting because it's a very deep. And he says, no, I want to hear it out. And I shared it with him. And afterwards, Michael, he looks at me and he says, what are you going to do with this? And I said, nothing. And I said, who am I to share? And he looks at me and he looks at me and he says, let me tell you something. We're on this planet for 3 reasons: to learn, to love, and to share. And if you're not sharing your gifts, you're being selfish. Quit being so fucking selfish. And he turned and walked away. And in that moment,
wow,
frame that for us to claim our golden voice, it's the opposite of being narcissistic, egoic, or selfish. It's actually our birthright to actually then inspire another, and then another,
yes,
and then another,
yes,
and then they are inspired by another, and it becomes a beautiful thing. So literally, like, I went around the world. I knew it was about the gold that resides inside us, and I tied a golden thread on thousands and thousands of people's wrists, did the spoken word piece, and then along the journey, I said, you know what? I always have had this fear, and yet this dream and this vision of designing something that I'd want to wear that I couldn't find. And I always loved t-shirts, and I want to design for me the world's perfect tee. And so, and I knew there'd be a golden thread weaving through it. And I wanted to be the most ethical, durable, soft, breathable fabrics, fibers along the journey. And that's the way it started. So, it's a very interesting thing. For any of your listeners, I can just imagine them nodding with self-recognition to themselves, because anybody who's listening to your podcast is on their path. Right?
Yeah.
And so this notion that what we do, we don't do with agenda, we do for values and intention. And we do it, not to be good, we do it for connection and love. Just imagine, Queen in all of our lives, she famously said that, like, do what you do not to be good, do what you do to be liberated and free. And I would say, you do that for connection and love. So if you follow that golden thread, with what we're doing in the world, what we're all putting in the world. And that's why this notion that the gold that's inside us, in each of us, is it that unites us. Now, look, I started a public benefit company around it called One Golden Thread. I believe we're all connected by this global thread that leads from all of us, and it is
yes,
resides inside. Full circle.
Yes,
the story we told ourselves or we were taught is a lie, right? Careful with your beliefs, right? Because there's a lie inside the beliefs, and that we are golden inside. We all have that gift, and that's how we all get to live. And that's when nobody gets left behind, because we're all golden inside.
No one left behind. Man, I just continue to be blown away by you, brother. And I have so many things from what you just shared that brought up for me, and that particularly that who am I to share? Because that's something that I have struggled with. You and I were just riffing before we went live, and I was sharing that this podcast, I've been getting, Spirit's been talking to me for more than 4 years to record this, and I've been scared. I've been scared because it feels that important. And who am I to share those negating voices in my own mind that have been able to get to the best of me and convince me to not do the thing? And something I love about considering myself as a late bloomer, it's like I feel like my life is just starting to open up now that I am leaning into these things. And to be honest, you've been such an inspiration for me, and I know you have been for so many people, because I remember watching you tie these threads on people and then just go into this poetic performance. I'm like, who is this guy? Like, what does he think he's doing? Like, what is happening here? And you just were so dedicated and so clear to it. And I'm really curious for you, because I know all of the men I work with, myself, you, everyone, we all have those negating voices inside of us. How do I know I'm not just crazy? How do I know I just didn't take too much psilocybin and I'm doing another thing that they told me to do? You've been this persistent, penetrative being, and we're able to break through that. How did you do that to the point where you now have this incredible company? something I want to talk with you, conscious capitalism and all the negative press that men get for being, successful in the world. And here you are. So I'll just leave it at that and see what you have to say. Cause yeah, we do all have it inside us, but how do we get it out, Jeff? Like, how are you able to better those negating voices?
So, remember, we need to clear out our entourage, first of all. And the entourage is not that cool show. And we all watched. With the entourage goes voices below our head that cloud our ability to hear our own.
Yeah.
And because those voices, it's an autobiography of theirs that isn't yours. And the most powerful thing that we can do is understand, as my friend Sanika the Firestar says, your fans are great.
Fuck yes, Anika.
Fans are great. Like, patient. And when we say that, whatever you, and we're saying you, a listener, has an inkling, something that they want to put in the world. There's nothing more powerful than making a decision. Just play.
Damn.
And you can always shift and pivot and modulate. But if you're feeling something, say something. And it's such a cool thing to visualize. Like, we're here. My mom, was this incredible painter, and she had friends who were incredible painters. Like, this is my mother's friends. My mother was very inspirational to this journey. But this is an example of what I'm talking about. This was a painting that used to be sideways. I'm just like, I'm going to see what it looks like to twist it on its side. It's gorgeous. It looks right. What if we all took that approach? What we're here to do is to play. And we're just lean in. And there's no bad answers. As another genius, in our world, Andrew Kippen, said that either way is better. Okay? Either way is better. So what does that mean? That just means, like, take a step. I'm another, a genius visual it's very, very Joseph Campbell hero's journey-ish, which is picture if you're here and you don't know whether this is the goal, but there's something that has a burning desire here. Well, what if we not saw it as we need to hit this target straight away, or even like find this long path to go? What if we do a moonshot? And the moonshot is maybe we're 20 degrees off here, maybe we're here, maybe we try it, and it's like, well, no, it needs to be over here. Then you do another moonshot, and you just keep orbiting. Because I think that one of the things that paralyzed me for 50 fucking years was this fear of like, would I self-ridicule myself?
Yeah.
One of the chapters of I guess I'm going to out myself right now, of a book that I'm writing, starts with, what if you discover that you're in a prison only to realize that you were the warden holding the key to the unlocked door? That's all of us.
Yeah.
Let's knock the cover off that bullshit.
Living in prisons of our own creation. Yeah.
And that the door didn't even have a lock on. And we were the warden that was holding the key. So, what I would just say, and what transpired for me was, was truly cleaning out my own mess to be able to hear my own golden voice. And then you take one step and you're like, that felt good for me. Yeah. And you lean in deeper, and then you see that maybe it inspired somebody else to lean into theirs. And that's the way it started. I like, and even the notion around designing, I did it for myself first. Everything I designed for myself first. And I broke every rule in the book. I was the only fit model for all the clothes that I designed. And it turns out that I'm the universal fit model because I'm that average. I'm right down the middle in terms of height, weight, male, female, like, form. I'm just like this android, whatever. I mean, avatar, I guess. But that, and there's no ego. I'm just like right down there.
Yeah.
It fits me. It's gonna fit you, and it's gonna fit her. Go figure.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man. There's a pattern that I see. I love the coaching work that I do because I get to see so many different men and so many people who are going through their own version of the same problem. But hearing from you, that thing that was it's been such a North Star for me of one step at a time. Like, take that first step. Take that first step. Take that first step. The work I do with my guys, it's like getting clear, the first step of getting clear, the clarifying of the thing that you want to do. And then what's the first step? Take that step. You blend the clarity with consistency. You do that step, then the next step, then the next step. You string that along. That creates momentum. The momentum over time creates the change that you're looking for before you even realize it. And
when you take that step, because we're paralyzed, we need to clear the decks.
Yeah, man.
And so that's why, and I'll share this by way of a little, if I may.
Please.
A little spoken word piece, because, and I'm going to speak rapidly to you.
I'm so ready. Yes, please.
So congratulations, because at some point along your journey that allowed you to be right here, right now, you started finally to give zero fucks about others' opinions of you, which cleared the decks for your infinite fucks, your transcendent truth. There are no more healers, because as mirrors we get to witness each other being our own revealers. No woo-woo, no more gurus, because you are spirit full over spiritual, because the gold already resides inside you. You say yes to life with no hesitation and reservations, to free dive into the unknown beyond your comfort zone. Expectations. It's your choice. And you've chosen to claim your golden voice. And you share your gift now with increased ignition. When in doubt, you get out, while embracing the beauty and the magic and the mystery of life's journey. You realize we are more liberated and free together than apart. Each moment is your choice point, and you choose to live from an open heart. And you keep your eyes on all the blessings, because you remember residing inside that deepest, dark, fear cave shines your deepest soul lesson. And most importantly, you remembered this is all supposed to be fun. But yes, fuck yes, let's have some.
Oof.
That's the way we start.
That's the way we start.
Stop giving zero fucks about somebody else's opinions of you.
Yeah.
Because it's do this for yourself. We come into this world alone. We leave this world alone. Let's remember that you all have a golden gift to share. Your fans are waiting.
I'm wiping tears from my eyes, my friends. Yeah. There's something so meta about this moment for me, starting this journey and receiving the confirmation from your confirmation in this moment, and
and as we talked about, there are dark
nights. There have to be.
We're all gonna have it. What I discovered, and I cried myself to sleep when, I couldn't even cover payroll because I'm going, out of my pocket again and again and again to pay beautiful people that were working on One Golden Thread back in 2017 and 18 and 19 and early 2020 before the pandemic, and then things took off. But I came to realize, and it's a very, very important delineation distinction about how do we enter those dark nights of the soul, or how do we allow ourselves to enter those dark nights in the soul, and how can we pivot out of those? And I had to come in the right relationship between difference and understanding the differences between doubt and uncertainty.
And yeah,
Doubt and uncertainty. And the way that we access that is from self-awareness. Like when we're feeling a certain kind of way, meditate, we yoga class, go jump in a cold plunge, go jump in the sun, whatever your one's tool and technique is, and to ask yourself with self-awareness, is this doubt or is this uncertainty? And we can unpack what each of those means to me, but what does that mean to you? The difference between doubt and uncertainty.
Yeah, it's so beautiful, Jeff. I mean, I just knowing all the moments that I've struggled and knowing how much men are struggling right now, how many men out there are demoralized who are on social media getting caught in the cult of comparison and comparing themselves and trying to compete against each other versus using the inspiration of someone else's success to catapult your own place into the pantheon, because there is room for all of us, and I think whether it was Joseph Campbell, who you mentioned earlier, so many of the amazing men, Sanika and Andrew, that I know at least tangentially, I'm going to say it, the golden thread that I see connecting all of these people is that there is a vibrancy of play that I see alive in them somehow, that they've been able to sort of retain this childish nature, which I think a lot of people that we know, a lot of men who maybe have leaned against growing up in a way, because human adulthood, male adulthood, where are the men that are teaching us how to do this? Where are the men that we can look up to, that we can truly look up to, who aren't just rich, who don't just drive a nice car, have a beautiful woman, or have a good job, but like are doing the whole thing, man. The whole thing. And on your deck earlier, you showed me the way that your whole product is designed around wanting to combine the ecological thread with the fashion, with all the different aspects, so that you can feel truly good about the entire thing. And that difference between extractive capitalism versus regenerative capitalism, and the consciousness that I feel you bring with every word that comes out of your mouth, that translates into each stitch on each of those pieces of beautiful clothing that you put out there into the world. Yeah.
Thank you. I receive, and people don't want to live compromise. In compromising, you're compromise free.
Yeah.
Style, ethics, eco, a model. Something that you can dress up, dress down. People want to travel through life efficiently. They don't want to have to go to yoga and coffee and dress up and keep. I mean, people just want to like roll through life, and that's what my approach is to clothing, which is wear clothing that amplifies who you are, and then you can that's versatile, and that has style and ethics and ethos to it. So our model is very much focused around that, and I think that there is beautiful thing that's happening in the world right now where people are commanding. There's this lifting of people are eating foods that speak to them. People are wearing clothes that speak to their thoughts, words, and actions, and that's what we're really honored and proud to be, speaking to the conscious collective and offering a product that's just, there isn't the thing that's important. Part of my dark night of the soul is I learned a valuable lesson in business, which is don't fall too deeply in love with your mission's purpose in terms of believing that's the message that needs to be put out.
Oof. Yeah.
The entire first 2 years, being almost belligerently focused on wanting to tell you about all the statistics around the toxicity and the ecology and the plasticizing of the planet, while eating a credit card of plastic a year. And oh, by the way, I've got this product that does this. I've lost you. And I came to realize that the most powerful lesson I learned in business, I learned when I was in third fucking grade from my dog, And my dad, and I bought it until I finally realized it. And it's this lesson. And please, listeners, apply this to your life, because this is the greatest gift I can give to you. Is my dog Sam had worms. We had to give him a pill. And my dad, never missing a teaching moment, takes me to his bowl. And he says, we didn't give Sam this pill. How do you think we do it? And I said, well, we'll wrap it. We'll hide it in his food. And my dad says, no. Dogs will sniff it out. They're very smart. You're putting something by them, and they'll spit it out. And he said, well, what you do, if you need to give a dog a pill, you wrap it in something sweet. And then they will swallow it all day long. We wrapped it in some peanut butter and a little piece of bread, and he just swallowed it, and he's just happy as a clam. Sam got better, it's all good. But I didn't get better for 50 years, but I realized that the pill isn't what we should be talking about. Offer a better product. Tell people about the better
Yes.
we're offering, and then let them
Yes.
know that it's eco. Let them know that it's good for them. Let them know that we plant a tree in your name. Let them know all those things. But make no mistake. Conscious consumerism starts with offering a better product, not with telling you how you're going to make the world better. Offer
That's right.
a product and wrap it in something, and that's the sweetness of the wrapping. So
Beautiful, man.
it took me that reframe, and and certainly we have people that love our products and come in through the eco door, but most people wear this in their homes, out when they're traveling, or where they go, in ceremony, because I've had people tell me, quite honestly, that they've been in the middle of an ayahuasca ceremony, and they, for whatever reason, weren't wearing the duster that you're wearing. It was over in the corner, and they're crawling around looking at fractals in their mind's eye, tearing all their clothes off before they put the duster on. They're like, now I feel like I'm home. Now I feel like I'm home. And by the way, if anybody's interested, go to onegoldthread.com, click on the thread on reviews, and look at the 1,000 reviews that we have 5-star of the way people talk about this. I've never seen anything like it. And it's a deep honor in my life to see that people are being touched by the mystical energy.
Absolutely, man. It is so, to me, it feels so correct that you are reaping what you've sown in the right way. I feel like we have so many examples of the opposite, but that you are being rewarded, as I see it, for being a fire starter and a model for what it can look like when you don't compromise. And that, for me, it's the realization that it is possible to be a good man and successful. They do not have to be these mutually exclusive things that I really believed for a long time. When I was a kid, I was so anti-business. I was a communist in college. I was like, fuck that, because the only people I saw doing business weren't doing it well. They were extracting. They were polluting the planet. And to be able to model for not just men, Jeff, but for all of us, that hey, we can produce things that, and these things are stylish as fuck, man. I feel great. Again, anytime I wear this stuff, I know where it comes from. I know there's no dyes that are going into my skin. I know there's no phthalates, from the plastic going into the environment. You have an ethical way that you produce they're produced in Los Angeles by the ethical means, and just being able to do that is such a remarkable thing. And again, if there's anything that I want men to take from this show, it's like, we're done compromising. We're done compromising. It is possible to be a good man, to be successful, to make money doing things that benefit people, planet, relationships, everything, man. It's here. It's time. It's now.
It is. And the thing, though, that's important is to realize, and I wrote this to myself a couple of years ago, and I play it back in my mind. It's a big gift, which is the pursuit of perfection is the paralysis of progress. The pursuit of perfection is a paralysis of progress, because anytime that we get stuck in this paralyzed, like, oh my God, it's got to be perfect, we don't take that first step. Because the truth is that the only perfect thing we can do is stop flying in planes, stop living in homes, stop driving cars, stop eating, and certainly stop wearing clothes. Because this is a human, all you can eat buffet. And the truth of the matter is, I think we need to ask ourselves, with the questions that what we choose to do in our life, which is, the planet's going to survive, right? The question is, how good do we want her about, or how bad do we stand it? So
and are we coming with it?
So what I would just say is, let's lighten this up. Let's take that first step, and it's not about perfection. It's more about the awareness around the pursuit, and start with an intention that has values as opposed to an agenda. Whatever you choose to do in this world, and I think that we're all going to be better for it. We're all going to be able to participate in what you create. And when I say you, I mean any of you out there. And that to me is the greatest act of listening and lifting and loving, is that we can do this together.
Yes, we can. We must. We must. It's time. Yeah, it's really time. Man, what do you think men need to hear right now, Jeff? Like, what do you think? How do we get more people willing to weather that dark night of the soul, willing to take the risk into meaning, which I think has to come with challenge. It has to come with doubt. There has to be doubt in order for faith to be born.
Well, let's actually finish out on this one, because this is powerful. Let's unpack the difference between doubt and uncertainty. Our dark night of the soul and the doubt is the motherfucker that paralyzes you and makes you cry at night softly to yourself because you don't want your partner to know that you're feeling that, or you feel that cord and your organs are all tightened up. And it's that what doubt represents is our lack of confidence in our ability to meet what might be faced along the way. Uncertainty is, I don't know how this is going to go. I am going to be surrendered in my self-leadership to say, I'm going to lean in anyway. One of my other big G's in this world, his name is Wes Shell III, and he's 75, and he's the most hardcore skier I've ever seen in my life, and would thrust, would skis with Olympic gold medalists kind of a guy. And any of you out there that have ever skied or snowboarded, his expression is commit to the line. And when you do, lean into it, right? So that's uncertainty. Like, I don't know exactly how this is going to go, but I'm going to lean in as opposed to leaning back. You lean back, that's doubt. Lean in, that's uncertainty. Lean in with love. And I can promise you, the universe has your back.
What a beautiful point to end on. And I'll just conclude too by just any of you men, women, anyone who's listening to this, there's a reason you're listening to this right now at this time in your life. And we need you. Like, we need you in this fight with us. We really do. It's time. It's your time. You do have something valuable and that we need desperately. And I love what you said about the selfishness from your English friend or your South African friend. How dare you keep that from us? How dare you keep that from your people? Your people need you. Your people need people who are willing to lean into the uncertainty and lean forward. And so, Jeff, man, what an honor. I know we could keep riffing, and I want to get you to your next call, but you guys can find Jeff's stuff. Again, onegoldenthread.com. It's beautiful, man. I just popped on the website. You got a whole new set of graphics on there. There's a women's line coming out soon. Again, most of the clothing is unisex, but man, it is some sexy gear. And you can find Jeff's personal stuff at jeffscult.com. That's JEFFSCULT.com. What an honor, my friends.
Just ending on this notion of, we need all of you in the fight, but I would say, like, let's even reframe that. If we're allowing ourselves to,
we need you in the playground.
Hey, maybe it's instead of the fight, maybe it's the flight. Let's all lift each other and be your and I'll tell you what, gents,
spoken like a poet.
I'm gonna create a Bates code for you to get us a little special thing. So we're gonna create a Bates.
Holy shnikes.
So at checkout, if you guys want to pick up some gear, type in Bates 11, and we'll get you set up in our system, Michael, and it'll be an honor to have you be spreading the thread, because that's what we're all here to do. Much love to you all, and Michael, so happy you're doing this, and the remasculation is alive and well, brother.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Let's keep that flights in the air and rising high. Escape velocity, baby. Much love. Thanks, everyone. See you guys soon. Bye.